They did put up the MLB rulebook, and I went on my own and actually read through the MLB rulebook on the size of the bats. The Yankees are doing nothing remotely illegal whatsoever.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian.
If only our numbers can do as well as the Yankees did this weekend. Damn.
Really? Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live. On today's show, it's the return of Miners Monday. It's that time of year. We're going to tell you how Stanton did and discuss Spencer Jones, one of our favorite subjects. We're also going to discuss how the Yankees did this weekend because, boy, was it a historic weekend for the Yankees. But first, is that a big bat in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
I mean, geez, what an unbelievable first 3 games of the season. Really, the second and third game of the storylines. Do you ever remember a start to a season like this where they scored this many runs and looked this incredible? And Aaron Judge looked, I mean, what is he going to hit 90 home runs this year? I mean, he looks outrageous so far. The Yankee team just offensively looks like they're going to put up historic numbers. There's a multitude of storylines to come out of this game, including the torpedo bats we'll get to in a second. I do have one question for you before the torpedo bats, just as like a side story that's thrown in. This story got buried really quickly, and it's going to because of how good the offense was. Have you ever, in all sports, seen a worse or more upsetting return against your former team than Nestor Cortez had on Saturday?
Yeah, I was thinking about that while it was happening, and I was trying to recall if I had ever seen maybe another former Yankee perform against the Yankees, and that was just, and when you think about it, his last pitch of 2024 was the home run to Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives up the 3 home runs on 3 pitches in his first start of 2025. I mean, I've never heard of anything like that ever.
It's insane. I mean, 3 home runs on 3 pitches. I mean, it's wild. I can't believe how good they looked. But let's get into the story that everybody's really talking about, and it's these torpedo bats that the Yankees are using. First, just to throw out there, they did put up the MLB rulebook, and I went on my own and actually read through the MLB rulebook on the size of the bats. The Yankees are doing nothing remotely illegal whatsoever. Now, Major League Baseball may turn around and try to change the rulebook before, within a week and get rid of these bats. That's totally up for grabs. They can do that. But the Yankees, I mean, honestly, props to them. Props to their analytics department. They apparently did the research and saw that Anthony Volpe's majority of hits are from within the inner part of the label on the bat. He's not quite hitting the barrel. He's hitting it just short of the barrel. And they realized, what if we make the barrel longer towards the bottom of the bat and the top of the bat skinnier? The bat has to be within certain lengths and it has to be round shaped throughout the entire bat. There's nothing wrong with what they did. It looks weird, and that's why people have a problem with it. But there's already, I heard one pundit out there say that this must be illegal because the bats don't look like this and because nobody else is doing this around baseball. It's the second game of the season. That's when people realized the bats were there. So that's probably why no one was doing it in baseball prior. The Yankees didn't want to show this to people prior before games meant anything. And Stacey, the Minnesota Twins catcher, used one on Sunday. So it's already getting its way around the league. It's just crazy.
The thing about it not being done before is false because there's evidence of bats similar to this being used as far back as 2019. Cody Bellinger tried to use one when he was with the Cubs, didn't quite like it, but he tried using a bat similar to this torpedo bat, as they're calling it. The whole thing is it's because it's the Yankees. People want to accuse the Yankees of trying to cheat and trying to be bad and trying to do things. And it's just ridiculous at this point how people run away with this. And the funny thing about it is no one would have known if Michael Kay didn't say anything in the game during
Yeah,
the
I
game
mean, it's
on
funny
Saturday.
that people are saying that, but you also got to give props to Michael K. That's his job. That's what he's supposed to be doing. So he's not doing a bad job of that.
But what's funny is he was talking about it on Saturday. The story blows up, right? So that's all anyone is talking about. And then on Sunday, he was almost trying to not correct himself, but make it seem like it wasn't a bad thing that he mentioned it. Like it was really funny. Like he was really trying to help himself there. And again, as you said, they're within the rules. The league said that these bats are within the rules. They're not illegal. So here's my 2 cents. Everyone needs to shut up about it. Okay. Not everyone on the team is using it, right? Aaron Judge isn't using it. So far, only 2 guys are using them, Jazz and Volpe. Volpe hit the home run. He had home run opening day. Jazz hit 2 home runs on Sunday, hit a home run on Saturday because everyone hit a home run on Saturday
too. Yeah.
Right. So they're legal. That's the point. They're legal.
Well, there's nothing different.
Stop.
They're not corked, so there's nothing inside the bat that makes it different.
Because they check the bats before the game. The umps check to make sure that things are right, and officials check them too, because you can't just show up with these aren't wiffle ball bats. That's what people are making it seem like. They're not wiffle ball bats,
Based on the swing path that certain players have, they're more susceptible to hitting more the barrel of the bat when the barrel of the bat's lower. So it's just creating an advantage for yourself. Again, nobody is saying that the rest of the league isn't allowed to do this.
Right.
It's worked out for Jazz. It's worked out for Volpe. But like you said, Aaron Judge had the best weekend of anybody. He had 4 home runs over the weekend. And no one's saying squat to Aaron Judge. So it is funny how you pick certain players. I mean, the start to Aaron Judge's season is outrageous. And again, this was brought to light because of the performance the Yankees had on Saturday, where Judge had 3 home runs, Jazz had a home run, Volpe had a home run. They hit 9 home runs in the game, which ties a major league record.
hit a home run.
Yeah, which play him, please, by the way. But it ties a major league record for second most home runs in a game, which is tied at 9. I forgot who it was. I think it was the White Sox potentially that hit 10 home runs, I believe. And this was in the 90s or the 80s or something like that. That they have the most home runs of all time in one game. The Yankees had 9. That ties the record. 8 was the previous record the Yankees had. They broke their franchise record. Unbelievable performance. I mean, I can't remember a game where they scored 20 runs this early on in the season, especially in an opening series. And might I mention, they weren't playing the White Sox, Stacey. I mean, the Brewers are a good team who pitches well. Like they make the playoffs almost every year. They won the division last year. They're a good pitching team generally. And
generally,
boy, oh
not
boy,
this weekend, but generally. I think it's interesting that this is the first time that this happened with the Yankees, because when you think of other lineups that they had with home run hitting guys that they had, especially, they didn't win a lot in the early to mid 2000s, but they had guys who could mash in those lineups. And for them to not do what they did for them to do what they did this weekend, especially with all of the chatter about they lost Juan Soto and people were making fun of them for getting Paul Goldschmidt and, you didn't really do much to improve the team. And then they come out and treat the Brewers rather rudely, especially the pitching staff.
You could tell that there might be some talk within the organization of a lack of respect that they're getting. Because of the fact that, everyone's counting them out once Garrett Cole news comes in, and the conversation was how they lost Juan Soto. They're not going to be the same. They're not even division favorites anymore. And they just came out and showed you who's boss. I mean, in reality, they go 3-0 to start the weekend. How many runs did they score this weekend? I can't do the math that quickly, but it's over 30 runs. Mm-hmm. It's outrageous. I can't remember a start to a season like this. They started 3-0 before.
36 overall and 32 on Saturday and Sunday.
I mean, that's insane. That is an insane amount of runs to score in a weekend. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Especially again against a good team. The Brewers are not bottom feeders. Every year they're competing for a playoff spot, and they're expected to compete for one this year too. Yeah. There's just so many storylines that came out of this weekend. How about on opening day, Jackson Churio goes 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts, and that storyline just goes away because of what the Yankees did. Really remarkable. We're going to get into a ton of this conversation because, I mean, we're not even going to have a lot of time today to talk about just the in a full essence of what Judge did. Mm-hmm. I mean, because, it gets buried behind all the power and everything that he did. But, I mean, Stacey, this is not the pace that he got off to last year at all. So, I mean, imagine if he keeps this up all year, he's going to hit 80 home runs. It's remarkable and exciting, honestly.
And it's even funnier because opening day, he looked a little iffy. And like I said, he hit the base on that one hit. And I was like, maybe that'll get him going.
Sir, did it not? I mean, wow. And he wasn't in cheapies either.
No.
I mean, he wasn't in shit. Some of them you can accuse on Saturday for sure, just scraped over the wall and stuff. That was not what he was doing on what he was doing.
No. Here's the thing. Opening day, people were complaining because Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe's home run, like Wells' home run would have only been a home run in Yankee Stadium. Volpe's would have been a home run in like 9 out of 30 stadiums. So
Yeah.
be quiet about that. Then Saturday comes and these guys are hitting. I mean, these were mostly deep home
Moonshots.
runs. The only one was Wells really but it was an opposite field home run. So that was a big home run for Wells because it went opposite field. And no one said anything when Jake Bauers hit the foul pole on Sunday because, when an opposing pitcher, well, he is an opposing pitcher because he pitched twice, Saturday and Sunday. They should have started Jake Bauers. He pitched 2 scoreless innings. Yeah, for the Brewers. No one said anything when Bauers hit the foul pole because when the opposing team hits barely home runs, not a peep. But the Yankees, oh no, the Yankee Stadium is terrible. They use it to their advantage. Well, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do in your home park. The Yankees aren't the Orioles. They're not going to keep pulling the wall in and pushing it out. They're going to keep it the same way. So yeah, it was an interesting weekend. Saturday was just so odd, and weather-wise too. It was so hot when the game started, and then like a cold front came in, and 10 minutes later it was 20 degrees colder.
Yeah, Saturday was a wild day weather-wise. It was like 80 degrees in the afternoon. By the time you were leaving wherever you were, it was like 40.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah, and that's another thing. A lot of those balls were being hit when the weather was warm too. So what does this mean for the summer? Like,
Yeah.
So we'll see.
It's wild.
We'll see. I mean, let's say this. Don't expect the Yankees to hit like this all the time, people. Like, it's fun, right? But don't, because people are like, oh, they're going to set a record for home run.
Yeah.
They could come out.
They already have that record. They already had that record.
They could come out against Arizona in the next 3 games, off day today, starting Tuesday, and have dud games for 3 games. So just
they get Corbin Burns' Arizona debut, by the way.
Yeah. So we'll see how they do against Corbin Burns because Nestor Cortez, no offense.
Not Corbin Burns.
Not Corbin Burns. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our video, or videos, because there are many of them. Hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings, reactions to the games. I was texting back and forth with a few insiders this weekend because, of course, I was. The games were very bizarre. We send out lineups during the season, roster moves, and breaking news so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up, let's just discuss the weekend as a whole.
Well, guys, the Elite 8 is over. The Final 4 is set with all 4 1 seeds. And if you want to bet on the Final 4, the place to get in on it is FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even to bet on who's going to cut down the nets out of the Final 4 1 seeds. Now, I got my eye on a few underdogs throughout this tournament, and that didn't really work out for me. But FanDuel made it easy. Even the bets that I hit, with spreads, totals, game props, it was all available. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's something exciting to bet on. And FanDuel makes it easy, guys. It's simple to use. When I win, the payout is instant. There's no waiting around. It can't get easier. So visit FanDuel.com, get it on the college hoops action all tournament long. And we want to thank you again for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. Remember that every Friday is Fan Mail Friday. You can leave those questions underneath the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. Now, those fans are going to get top priority during Fan Mail Friday. The link is in our description. So, Stacey, overall, a grand scheme of the weekend, because we really weren't able to discuss that in segment 1 because it was all about the bats and the power and everything like that. Let's first go into what the Yankees did on Sunday. Marcus Stroman, the 3-starter in this rotation, which nobody saw coming because around Valentine's Day, he was the 0. He was going to be traded, and they were looking for a suitor. And all of a sudden, Marcus Stroman was out there. Didn't pitch bad. Didn't get into the 5th inning. Didn't give them a length, but the Yankees don't really get that from him anyway. 4 2/3, 3 runs, 5 hits. The 1 home run to Bauers, a walk and 3 Ks. Not terrible. 81 pitches. That's what Marcus Stroman's going to give you.
Yeah, Boone said they were hoping to get him to 80, and that's basically what they wanted to do. They were probably hoping that he would get to 80 after pitching 5 full, but it was 4 2/3. Not a terrible outing. And it was funny, too, because I missed the first half inning. And from what I was seeing on social media, I thought he gave up 4 runs with the way people were reacting to how he was pitching, and I saw he only gave up 1, and I
Yeah,
thought,
he was a little all over the place with command, but that's
yeah,
usually expected with guys early on in the season, so I'm not that concerned.
yeah, and then I turned the game on, I'm like, wow, are we really overreacting in game 3 of the season? Yes, because we're Yankee fans. That's how things go. Judge, gosh,
Yeah,
the
that's the
Yankees have hit
reaction.
the Yankees have hit 6 home runs in the first inning so far this season, and the rest of MLB at that point, when the game was being played at just before 2:00 p.m. Eastern, the rest of MLB only had 5 first inning home runs combined.
Yeah, it's a joke what he's doing. Again, no cheapies. I mean, he gets all of the ball. This is the hottest I think he's ever looked out of the gate for a season. He's never looked this good straight out of a gate. It's incredible what he's doing at this point.
Yeah, he's the first Yankees player in history, another crazy thing, with 4 home runs in the first 3 games. And as of the bottom of the 3rd on Sunday, Judge alone had more home runs than 26 teams.
It's wild. It makes no sense. Historically good, just to throw in on this on a side note, with how historically good Aaron Judge has been, it's almost the opposite of what the Pittsburgh Pirates had done to start the season. Stacey, the Pittsburgh Pirates have been walked off on their first 3 games. In all 3 games, they're the first team to get walked off on their first 3 games of the season since the 1939 Pittsburgh Pirates. So it's really not a good stat to be in if you're the Pirates. Let's go back to the pitching for a second. We talked about Marcus Stroman's performance on Sunday. Let's go to Max Fried's performance on Saturday. Mixed reviews. He really struggled to get his command going all day. They did mention on the broadcast the 7 pitches that he throws. Sometimes they're not there, and it's hard to really find your groove of which ones you're going to stick with. I will say the start does look a little different than it actually was if you watch the game. 4 2/3, 7 hits, 2 earned, 2 walks, 4 Ks. He did look good at points. I mean, his stuff is filthy. So there were a couple of strikeouts and a couple of curveballs where you were like, geez, how does anyone hit that? He did get hurt by defense. They didn't play great defense. He did have a lot of leeway because of the amount of runs they were scoring, but you'd like to see a little bit of a better performance out of Max Fried. Also, he was visibly pissed when they took him out with 2 outs in the 4th inning because he wanted to get that win for sure.
Yeah. And after the game, he said that he was more pissed with himself because he made it, so he had to be taken out because he didn't execute earlier in the game, and he said he deserved to be taken out, and he took full responsibility for it, which I thought was pretty stand up for him because, you know, a lot of guys don't want to admit that. And I was like, you know what? I like him because I like when guys can come out and say, you know, I didn't pitch well enough.
The Yankee defense certainly let him down in this spot, though. I'm not going to Max Fried wasn't terrific by any means, but the defense was awful. And
you can't have 5 errors in a game.
Down.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, you're lucky the team scored 20 because 5 errors in a normal game will have you lose that game. So
yeah, completely agreed. But I mean, they got through it. Nestor Cortez, again, we mentioned, had one of the worst returns to his former team ever in history. Just to relate it to hockey for a second, Alexander Georgiev, who used to play for the Rangers, gave up 6 goals to the Rangers on Saturday. That was also pretty brutal, but I don't think it's as bad as 3 home runs on your first 3 pitches. I've never remembered anything as bad as this.
First 3 pitches. And no offense to Nestor, but what's with the blonde hair? It does not look good. What are you doing, dude?
He doesn't rock it. Some guys rock it. Some guys make it look good. He does not.
Yeah, I saw it peeking out, and I was like, what? And then I saw they did do a nice thing for him on Sunday. They put him up on the scoreboard, welcomed him back. He tipped his cap. They gave him an ovation.
Yeah, but it's a little more awkward when it's after that performance.
I know.
I felt a little weird for him. Like it's one thing to have that acknowledgement when you come off, you know, dominating the Yankees and being like, yeah, that's right, you let me go. But it's a little bit different when you just gave up 9 earned.
And we were way wrong about that because remember how we joked? We're like, oh yeah, he's probably going to throw a no-hitter. And after the first 3 pitches, I was like, well, okay, that
didn't happen.
That did not happen. Okay. And then it just got worse and it kept getting worse.
Yeah.
On Sunday, Ben Rice.
A moonshot. I mean, it kills the ball. He put all of that extra 10 pounds into that ball. Beautiful swing too. A little bit reminiscent of Greg Bird. I got a little bit young Greg Bird with a little bit of the crouch in the stance, a little bit low.
I saw people comparing his swing to Tino Martinez too.
That one I don't see as much, to be honest with you. I see more of the Greg
Were you
Bird.
alive when Tino Martinez was like? Were you cognizant of the time when Tino Martinez was a Yankee?
Somewhat, not fully invested, but somewhat towards the later part of him as a Yankee. But I've seen highlights, obviously, of Tino Martinez swinging a bat. But no, but I saw more of when the Greg Bird first came up, he had that crouch in the stance where he's a little lower. Ben Rice has that kind of now too. A little bit of a different stance for Ben Rice too. He didn't have this lower angle to him when he was last year. So I kind of like that. He's getting more power in his legs doing that.
The other thing I want to mention on Sunday, good job when Judge and Jazz were on base, and who was it who hit the ball deep to center, and they both advanced, and then they were both able to score. So you're seeing good base running. Even like Oswaldo Cabrera got a really good hit. Paul Goldschmidt was 3 for 5. You're seeing, Cody Bellinger had the sac fly. Like, things are happening. Like, they're not just hitting home runs. You're seeing other things that they're doing in the game that makes me think that this team and this lineup is a little more complete than people are giving them credit for. And they're going to prove that over the season, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's let people know that we do need to see this consistently. It was 3 games. Let's not freak out over
I said
one
that
series.
earlier, but there are certain things that you didn't necessarily see the team do last year that I'm already seeing them do. That play up the middle that Volpe made.
Tremendous.
Like, unbelievable, and Jazz is already making plays that we know Glaber would never make in a million years. I'm enjoying watching Jazz and Volpe work together. You can tell that they've gotten close now because they hug after games and stuff. So I'm going to like seeing that double play combination this
for a
season.
full season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very entertaining. We're going to have to talk about Peraza and Cabrera at some point, because the one complaint that I can have over the weekend, and it's hard to find one, is the fact that Peraza didn't play on Sunday. I mean, how does he come off a home run performance and play really well and then just not get a spot in the lineup? You can't keep, and you've said this a million times, you can't keep jerking this kid around. Let him play. Yeah. Let him play. I mean, you got to you're not going to find consistency in a player if you don't put him on the field. We'll discuss that later in the week. We'll edit into a topic because I know some of you want to hear us break that down. The Yankees are 3-0 in back-to-back seasons. Do you want me to name the seasons that they've done it? Because we have it listed here just to let people know.
Yes.
Let's 1905, 1906, 27, and 28. Those are obviously some of the greatest teams ever assembled. 1942 and 43, 94 and 95, and 2024 and 2025. So pretty impressive and historic for the Yankees' perspective.
2 quick things. Fernando Cruz pitched a scoreless inning in his Yankee debut. He came over in the trade for Jose Trevino from the Reds. He threw his forkball, which was an interesting pitch. Also on Sunday, Tim Hill, Mark Leiter Jr., Cruz, and Ryan Yarbrough combined for 4 1/3 scoreless innings, and only Yarbrough gave up a hit in that entire time.
And that's the middle part of your bullpen, which is really, really important. So they're off to a great start. Again, it's 3 games, but this is so far a really, really impressive start for them.
Yeah, because as we've seen with the Yankees, it's better for them to get up to a hot start, because there's always that lull in the summer where they...
It's a guarantee with Aaron Boone teams.
Yep. So you were talking about kids. Let's talk about the kids. Coming up, Minors Monday, we'll tell you how Scranton has started the season, and we will tell you why Spencer Jones is not there yet. Next.
So, Stacey, before we get going with Minors Monday, I want to let everyone know that for Tuesday's episode, we're going to have a 3-way, I guess. Ariel Epstein is joining the show. Well, you made the innuendo at the start of the show, so I'm going to make the innuendo at the end of the show. We're going to have Ariel Epstein joining the show for Tuesday's show. We had her on in the interview series during the off season, and now we're going to have her on and it's going to be a regular Locked On Yankees episode. We're not going to be interviewing her about her career. You already know about her career. If you want to find out more about it, head back to our episode in December, January, whenever it was. We interviewed her and asked her about her entire career, so you can hear all about that in the episode previously. But we're going to have her on Tuesday, and she's going to talk about the historic weekend the Yankees had. So looking forward to that one, too.
Yeah, so it's our first Minors Monday of the season. How exciting. Scranton's basically the only team that's doing anything right now. Mm-hmm. And they weren't doing much of anything the first part of the series. They lost 5-4 in their season opener against the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. They lost their second game 5-4. I see a pattern. But on Sunday, they won 14-3.
Blew up.
They were leading 5-3 going into the ninth inning. They were on the road, and then they scored 9 runs in that ninth inning, and it turned it into a blowout. It salvaged at least not a sweep. So they weren't swept in their opening series. 9 players had at least 1 hit for Scranton, led by Yorbit Vivas and Andrew Velasquez. They each had 3 hits. 7 players drove in at least 1 run, paced by 3 apiece from Rolando Hernandez and Vivas. Vivas came over from the Dodgers, and he is a name that people were talking about in spring training, so you might see him at some point, maybe, possibly. So good recovery by Scranton. So they have the day off on Monday, and then they go up to Syracuse and start a series with them.
Yes. Should be interesting. A lot of names out of Scranton. I think a lot more potential this year for maybe position players to be making the rounds to the Yankees and impacting the roster at some point throughout the season than there were in years past. It felt like it was more of a pitcher-themed move years prior, and now it seems like it's more towards fielding, base running type guys that could be making their way up to the Yankee roster. Double A is an interesting topic actually to start the year because people are very aggravated that Spencer Jones appears to be starting the year at Somerset. I don't find this to be a big deal for whatever reason, and people freaked out about it over the weekend, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it was very odd because, I check Google every day and I see all the different headlines, and I saw a few of those aggregate sites talking about how people were outraged. That was the word, outraged, that Spencer Jones was starting in Double A. And one of them was attached to a Yankee blog, and it's a pretty well-known Yankee blog, so I was kind of surprised that someone on that blog wrote something about that. Guys, Spencer Jones needs to start in Double A. That doesn't mean he's not going to hit Triple A at some point.
He will.
I will guarantee that he will get to Triple A at some point this season, but it's better for him to start off in Double A, and it's not a big deal. It really isn't. I don't understand why. It's just, like, I think it's because some Yankee fans, when they see a prospect, they expect them to be, or they hope they're going to be like Aaron Judge. Now, Aaron Judge has kind of spoiled it for other people. Plus, the comparison with Aaron Judge, because Jones is the same height. He bats the opposite, but he's similar to Judge. He plays the same position as Judge. Like, it's a whole thing. So people have this in their head that he's going to be Aaron Judge. 1, that's too much pressure on Spencer Jones. Don't do that to him. And 2, like I said, it's just better that he starts in Double A. It's less pressure for him. He gets to face certain pitching, and, he still has that strikeout problem. I mean, I know he can hit the ball 471 feet, but he still has the strikeout problem. He needs to work on that before he can move up.
And let's be real, he'll get eaten alive at the major league level when it comes to strikeouts at this point. I mean, they're going to study him real quick and learn his tendencies. We talked about this with Will Warren going into the start of the season, right? If it weren't for the injury problems, Will Warren was more than likely going to start in AAA. And it wasn't really for a point that me and you were trying to say that he can't pitch with the Yankees. We saw him pitch with the Yankees the year prior. He can pitch at major league level. We thought he would start at AAA to build his confidence up, right? Let him learn with his new motion, with his new pitches, that he is able to dominate and be a dominant pitcher and build his confidence and then get to the major league level so he can dominate at the major league level and come in with confidence. You kind of want the same thing for Spencer Jones when it comes to AAA. You really know he can play in AA. He's put up great numbers in AA. Let him play in Somerset. Let him put up some numbers. Let him build his confidence. And you know what? In a month, if he's hitting 310 with 5 home runs and 12 RBIs, they'll move him up to AAA. They're not holding him back for any reason. The Yankees want to be as good as possible, and they want Spencer Jones to develop at as rapid of a pace as possible. But I think the better comparison of what's spoiled Yankee fans than Judge, because let's not forget, Judge didn't come up till he was 25 years old. He was fairly old for a player to come up. And I don't think you were, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you were hearing the chatter about Judge from the minor league level as much as you're hearing about it with Spencer Jones. I mean, we knew of Aaron Judge, but the chatter wasn't as loud as it's been with Spencer Jones.
Yeah.
I think the comparison that feels more similar to me is Jason Dominguez, where people have talked about this guy for a long time, and it's almost been a fait accompli that he is going to be a star at the major league level once he's called up. And you forget how young some of these kids are. You forget that Jason Dominguez is 22 years old a lot of the time, and you've got how young Spencer Jones is. These guys need time to develop. It's not an instant thing. Not everybody is Jason Dominguez in the major leagues at 22 years old. And I think this spurring of young players around baseball, like the Ronald Acuñas and the Ozzie Albies that are in the major leagues at 19 years old.
Juan Soto.
Juan Soto, Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt. It's not helping the players like Spencer Jones who might just need a little more time to develop. Again, Aaron Judge needed a little more time to develop, and he's becoming one of the top 10 all-time Yankee when it comes to statistics. So let's slow it down. Let's allow Spencer Jones to develop his game and turn into the player that he can be before we rush him into a major league spot.
Well, let's be real. Aaron Judge isn't just an all-time Yankee. He's turning into one of the best right-handed hitters ever
in the history of the game. Yeah, I kind of held back from saying that just because he hasn't played long enough to put those. The pace is insane, but he just hasn't been in the league long enough to really have those potential yet. But yeah, going through his prime right now, it's one of the most impressive power hitting primes we've ever seen in Major League history. That's not an exaggeration.
And what has he done since his first season? Cut down on the strikeouts.
A lot. And it can happen. I mean, listen, Aaron Judge came in that first year in that 2016 season when he was called up from in that month of September. He struck out in 60% of his at-bats. 60% in that month. He has completely cut his strikeout rate down unbelievably.
I mean,
he's one of the better eyes in all of baseball. In his
rookie of the year campaign, he had a lot of strikeouts.
Over 200.
It also didn't help that the umps were calling the low strike on him, and you'll see that occasionally now, but they've gotten a lot better at not calling those strikes anymore. But there were statistics about how many strikeouts or strikes were out of the zone for Aaron Judge, which worked against him, but he has really become an all-around, he hits home runs, he hits singles, he hits doubles, he walks, and not just intentionally. He has a good eye. He's unbelievable. He really is.
There's one element he doesn't have to his game, and that's stealing bases. And it's probably more because the Yankees don't let him do it. Because they don't want him to get hurt.
Right.
Honestly, that's probably the only reason, because they don't want a big body like that going to the floor.
Right.
That's the only reason they don't let him steal bases. Other than that, he has an elite arm. He moves elitely in the outfield. I mean, he played center field last year. He tracks down balls in the gap. He gets to. I mean, there's no place that a hitter puts a ball in the outfield that he's not getting to really quickly as the hitter's getting to. He's an all-around 5-tool player. It's incredible. The only thing he doesn't do is steal bases.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. But Spencer Jones is not him yet.
Yeah, he can become that too. Again, there was nobody talking about Aaron Judge like this when he was in Double-A. There wasn't. Yeah. You got to give it time.
Yep. You got to let things marinate. Let things cook. Let them cook. That's from a TikTok sound, right? Let him cook. I think that's a TikTok sound, if I'm not mistaken.
Let Russ cook from Russell Wilson. That's his thing. Let Russ cook.
That's funny. Russell Wilson. Hey.
Yeah. Well, welcome to New York.
Welcome to New York, Russell Wilson and Ciara.
Yes.
Have fun. At least it's not Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, hosted by Dominic Martino and Matthew Ane. Not only is MLB's regular season finally here, but fantasy baseball season is also here. So be the most informed fan and set yourself up for a league win. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you with Ariel Epstein tomorrow.